really the blending of two really cool cultures, Mazda MX-5 Cup and then Martinsville. Two iconic brands, so much tradition. And the next thing that popped in my head, June 22nd, 1992. And that was when the NASCAR Cup cars went to Indianapolis for the test session.
Yep.
And then you had to wait a whole nother year because they knew they were going to go to Indy, but you had to wait. And when these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars tested at Martinsville last year, everybody, after every session, got out, and they had smiles on their face. They knew this was going to be something special. And just like Indy, we had to wait. And then here tonight, finally, that dream is going to be reality. The MX-5 Cup cars on this paperclip-shaped half-mile. I've had 26 Cup races that I have reported from pit road. And I've got just as much excitement or more tonight of what I think we're going to see than those 26. This is special tonight here at Martinsville.
Sounds like things are getting ready to fire off down on the front straightaway. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
Race fans, to deliver the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome from Virginia Tourism Corporation board member and tourism manager for Danville Economic Development and Tourism, Lisa Merriweather.
Welcome to Martinsville Speedway, where Virginia is for racing lovers. Drivers, start your engines.
Well, there you have it. Engines coming to life, and if you hear a little bit more horsepower down there, Matt, it's because those NASCAR Whelen
700 horsepower by the grace of God.
Yeah, we people didn't know that at Martinsville we'd be adding a couple hundred horsepower to these MX-5 Cup cars. No, the NASCAR Whelen Modified cars are parked down there echelon style along the inside front stretch wall. A really popular and I think really successful driver autograph session took place just before they cleared the track to get ready for opening ceremonies. And so you had the Whelen Modified cars down on the inside of the front straightaway. You had the MX-5 Cup cars backed up along the outside, and I really do think that it was kind of a toss-up to see which line of cars had more autograph seekers. The good news was folks had plenty of time to get autographs from both. Those modified cars will now make their way towards their impound for the duration of this 100 laps with the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cups. Then they have 200 laps coming up.
But just, again, like when you're going to go see the Mazda MX-5 Cup cars at an IMSA event, the fan autograph sessions, the opportunity to get up close and personal, not only with the drivers, but you get a chance to peek inside those convertibles.
Yeah.
And remember, this is going to be the first convertible race at Martinsville since the 50s.
Yeah.
Elvis had just started or getting close to starting his music career when they last raced here. So it's going to be exciting. A lot of cool storylines mixed throughout the entire field.
You hit on a great one. Track President Clay Campbell, back at the press conference in July to announce this event was happening, had a quote. He said, open-top cars have not raced at Martinsville since 1950. So he said in anticipation for tonight, he goes, so that race night when MX-5 Cup and Whelen are on track together, he said, so that night will be about open-top and open wheel racing. That was Clay Campbell, the track president here at Martinsville Speedway, talking at a press conference back in July. But man, Matt, you're right. There are so many storylines, and I think the one to get out of the way really quickly, and we're going to be talking about throughout the night, because we got a lot of folks here in the grandstands, and I know we got people watching live who may not be experts per se on the MX-5 Cup Championship. That car down there, those race cars were not purpose-built. They were not born to be race cars. Every one of the 18 MX-5 Cup cars you see parked on the front straightaway here tonight were born to be roadsters, driven on the public roadways. They could have been bought at any Mazda dealership around the world, but instead their life took a new path when they were put on a shipping container in a shipping container on a boat from Hiroshima, Japan. They were sent over to Jacksonville, Florida, where they're unloaded and taken to Daytona Beach, where Fliss Performance, a couple guys you know pretty well, take these race cars, rip them apart as street cars, add over 250 individual components that turn them from street cars into bona fide race cars.
A great family, been around auto racing for years. They used to autocross. Dad Stan, son Todd, Troy, at that point didn't have his license. He was just kind of hanging around, waxing and stuff. But, that family, they just have racing in their DNA. And, the spirit of Daytona, so much success in IMSA with that platform. And it's really a great marriage in a way, because Fliss Performance, with their passion, the Mazda passion for the enthusiast, And like you mentioned, I mean, it's going old school back when NASCAR started. You take a production car from, you know, the GM line or the Ford line or Dodge, Hudson, you name it.
Yep.
And you basically would do a few little modifications, and you'd go race it. And that's exactly what these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. And what is so cool for somebody starting out, or somebody that's just going to be a weekend racer, or someone that wants to use it as a ladder system.
Yes, absolutely.
There are so many different avenues with this platform to really check the box of whatever it is you're trying to complete.
Well, it's a great category to teach racecraft and all the things that maybe drivers or teams perhaps who want to move up the ladder, as you bring up, because that's what Mazda's been about ever since I was introduced to them back in 2016 with their then Mazda Road to Indy program. And talk about helping out the racer. That was John Dunin's mission always at Mazda. Now he's the head guy at IMSA. He's still helping young drivers climb up the ladder and achieve their dream. But this race and this event tonight pays real cash money. $25,000 will go into the pocket of the driver who crosses the finish line first. And that's not the only time they're handing out money. At the 50-lap stage break, $3,500.
If you sweep the night, you can walk out of here with a big wallet in your back pocket of $28,500 if you have a great night. But that's the thing about this series. 14 races in 2024. The margin of victory, 0.4 of a second, the average for the whole season. Basically, throw a blanket over the top 2 or 3, and that's what you've got at the finish at every event that we have with this series.
They took the margin of victory from all 14 races, folks. This was the gap between first and second, added up from every one of the 14 races in 2024 with the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin Series. 4.9 seconds was the total margin of victory across 14 races.
For the whole season.
I've had relationships last shorter than that.
Okay, that might cost you some money there at some point. But I'll tell you this. When you look at the margin of victory and what that tells you, excitement, a lot of great hard racing, but look at these race cars, and it's not one of those things because they run 2 events over the course of a weekend.
Yep, exactly.
And they're clean drivers, it's great racing, and the big winner, just like with the autograph session on the front stretch, which you'll see at every MX-5 Cup event, the autograph sessions, the fan is the one who wins, because not only do they get the up close and personal, but they get the excitement. The e-ticket, as I like to say, is always with this series.
So here we go, 100 laps of racing with the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. You heard us right. There will be a stage break at lap 50. Caution laps do not count up until then. They'll be allowed to come in and make some adjustments. No tire changes, no fuel added. The field makes their way through 3 and out of turn number 4 onto the front straightaway and into the history books. Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin goes racing here at Martinsville. And it was Jared Thomas who was quickest in time trials with qualifying ending not too long ago, actually, before these cars headed to a lockdown impound. Jared Thomas beat Weston Workman by just a couple tenths of a second for the top spot in qualifying, and Weston Workman slots down into the second position. 1 lap coming around to complete here, Matt, and we're off and running.
To me, it almost looked like at the beginning, Workman, it was almost like a little bit of jukey moves. By Thomas right at the start, and then Workman had to maybe jump out of the gas just a tick, just that slight hesitation that gave him a good jump.
Well, and speaking to Workman after qualifying before they went racing, I asked him, what's the strategy on the start? Kind of thinking maybe they'd have a plan, duck down into the inside like you hear the Cup guys in the stock cars talk about so much. That was not the plan. Weston Workman said, I'm going to try to hold even to him as best I can through 1 and 2, make it a drag race down the back straightaway, and try to show him the taillights going down into 3 and 4. Unfortunately, the strategy didn't work. Jared Thomas is out in front and leading here, but Weston Workman, the rookie of the year, doing a good job. So many of these guys, Matt, don't have oval experience. That's what's entertaining about them.
Well, and here's the thing, Jared Thomas, back about 8 or 9 years ago, he ran late models in places like Winchester, Salem. So he has some experience oval track racing, but it's like you told me, that was so many years ago, and this is so different. You do have some things that you'll keep in the back of your mind, but everything is somewhat new for everybody.
Good battle shaping up here a little bit farther back in the pack. Andy Jankowiak, an ARCA regular, and a guy with a lot of oval experience. We've got a couple of the road course guys are calling them oval specialists because, again, if you are not familiar with the MX-5 Cup category, this is a series. Matt Yoakum was just talking about 14 races, super small margin of victory. All 14 of those races, every single season, are contested on purpose-built road courses or when they ran with IndyCar back on street circuits like the streets of Toronto or maybe St. Petersburg, Florida. This is a big deal because it's their first time on an oval. So there have been a couple guys who've come out of the Cars Late Model Tour, ARCA, K&N, drivers who have an oval experience like you talked about, Jared Thomas, going up against these road course regulars. And I think that one of the big storylines, Matt, is that the oval guys just didn't come out and take it to them right off the bat in practice and qualifying. A lot of these road course regulars are the ones up front right now.
Leonard Wood told me one time that you'll never beat a man at its own game. And what he meant by that was, we were talking about road course ringers that would come to a NASCAR Cup race. They don't have the experience running the Cup Series as much, so even though they've got a slight advantage talent-wise, the Cup regular has more of an advantage knowing the car,
yes,
the series, the history of the trends with the car. Now, when you look at these guys, I talked to Brandon Pierce. He said, I was top 3 at the first test. Well, then we went back out for the second session, and guess what?
Roadsters were catching up.
The road racers were even, Steven, even maybe jumping ahead a little bit. So they're like, oh, wow. The advantage that we thought we had
is not.
And many thought that we had is not.
As significant, at least.
Exactly. The series regulars.
Here's a good look at the race for second place right now. It's Weston Workman. Talked about him shortly. He was the 2024 Rookie of the Year racing with Shea Holbrook's BSI operation. A little bit farther back, there's some passing taking place as Jeremy Fletcher in the number 22 puts the moves on Jagger Jones. But Weston Workman picks up Rookie of the Year honors, and he was racing in Mazda MX-5 Cup this season. There you see him right there on your screen. He's the driver leading this 3-car pack. He sits second overall, but he's leading this train right here. That's Gresham Wagner, the series champion, right behind him. And then Celine Roland in the number 87 is third in this 3-car train. You're looking at second, third, and fourth on your monitors right now. But Weston Workman is able to race with the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup in 2024, all because something Matt talked about a little while ago, the ladder system, Mazda being so invested in helping grow young talent here in North America. Well, Weston Workman, a kid who really probably wasn't going to be racing on a big-time level like this one with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup, goes out and wins the Mazda Scholarship Shootout over the offseason. That put $110,000 in the pocket of Weston Workman that he was able to then take and use as buying power with a race team who chooses to team up with Shea Holbrook and go racing with BSI. And they win Rookie of the Year, 6th in points, picked up a couple feature victories. And here he is racing for second very, very early on in this 100 lap.
When you talk about this series, and you go from start to all the way to the last car on the grid, every driver has a unique or cool story. And what this event has meant to everybody that was in the field here tonight. And when you look at, you mentioned him, Celine Roland, he came back for this race.
Yep.
He's a pilot now for American Airlines. He had to move to Philly, so racing has kind of gone on the back burner. But he penciled in this weekend because of the cool factor of being able to say, I was at the first Martinsville Mazda MX-5 Cup race.
I want to talk a lot more about Celine Roland. He is that bright blue and almost flow yellow car that's third in line right now. But more importantly, Matt, we have got these 3 drivers running second, third, and fourth. They are starting to reel in. Jared Thomas, your early race leader after picking up the pole position in qualifying. The lead has been shrinking, and nobody's going to ever say that at the half mile of Martinsville Speedway the draft plays a big role. But the fact of the matter is, when you can line up behind the drivers in front of you, not be battling, not be going back and forth side by side, and work on hitting your marks, a group of cars can do a lot of damage in reeling in the leader in front of them, and that is exactly what is going on. We look back a little bit farther. That's Tom Long in the number 8 for McCumbee McAleer. He's trying to find his way around the number 44 as they race for position down the back straightaway. But we are very soon going to see a battle for the lead, and that's also because for the first time tonight, lap traffic is about to get involved in this race.
2 things that the drivers noticed from the test session. Number 1, Michelin has a fantastic tire here. It takes a couple laps to get heat into it, But usually when you're looking at a short track tire, you'll have tire fall off. You'll get to a certain point, and then the times really, it's like going over a cliff. When you look at lap 45, lap 48, the times from the test and practice, it was actually better than it was at the initial, first quarter of the run. The other thing you've got to keep in mind, the Modifieds are here this weekend. They've got a different tire. It's a Hoosier tire. Now, the Mazda drivers, pretty much the consensus that they have found early on, getting on the track after the Modifieds, that the cars tend to be a little bit more on the free side, slide around a little bit more, mixing the Michelin rubber with the Hoosier.
Spent a lot of time talking to drivers in the pit area. We just saw a shot of Sally Mott and Bobby Gossett racing back and forth a little bit closer towards the 10th position on track. But here we go. Jared Thomas's lead has now evaporated. It is a 4-car train, and this is what people who watch Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup racing are used to seeing. Big packs of cars. Now, albeit they're used to seeing it on 3- and 4-mile-long road courses, not half-mile ovals that transition from asphalt to concrete, now back to asphalt as they unwind the steering wheel and come from 4 back onto the front straightaway. But Weston Workman now is doing a very good job at keeping pace with Jared Thomas as they race for the lead. A little bit farther back on your monitor right now, you are watching the race for 5th position. That is Jeremy Fletcher, the number 22, and Landon Lewis, one of the oval drivers that comes into this event, unknowing the car, but knowing this type of racing. He and Fletcher now are having a good go of it right now for that 5th position.
Now you can see that the sun is starting to set to the west of us, and we're seeing a little bit more shade, the darkness swirling in, the lights are on, so you're seeing some shadows. But also look at the concrete. So the corners here at Martinsville are concreted, and you can see how they're blackening up. The biggest question coming in, how long and what would it be like with a second groove working in for the MX-5 Cup cars?
Well, that was a lot of discussion after the August 26th test was, can a second groove develop here around the Martinsville Speedway? And I don't think anyone had a definitive yes or no on that. I think the consensus was, these cars at just over 180 horsepower and so light, it's hard to get enough weight pushing that tire down around the top side to make that second groove come in. But again, if you have a line of cars running around the inside 6, 7, 8, however long it may be, and you have a guy on the top side that really knows he can just outbrake, get a little bit better exit, you may see him develop a second line or a second groove rather. Honestly, a second groove may not even come in, but it just might see that you will see a guy use the outside of the track to his advantage if everybody stays stuck around the bottom. This is a long race. We're going to see the track changes you brought up. And Weston Workman now sticks his nose out and lets Jared Thomas know he's there. But the beauty in these cars, like you talked about, they're open cockpit. Jared Thomas with side view mirrors or rear view mirror, he already knew Weston Workman was right there.
Talking to a couple of the different oval track guys that were here, the biggest adjustment for them is they're not used to having side mirrors.
Yeah.
Number one, they're used to looking up in the mirror in the middle of the windshield. Number two, being convertibles, and they have their own distinct car noise.
Yep.
When you're running a late model or a stock car or a truck, you can hear somebody, start to inch down, trying to maybe start a little bit of a dive bomb type move. Well, the oval track guys told me that they really couldn't hear like what they were used to, the different sound and the muffled sound of somebody making a move. So it was going to be a little bit more reliant on the spotters because the drivers all have spotters.
Look at this right here. Tom Long, Andy Jankowiak, and that is Capers Zentmeyer in the number 99. This is a live look at the race for 10th position on track right now. So far, looks like moves Zentmeyer up to the 9th position. Jankowiak moves into 10th. That leaves Tom Long on the outside looking in. And again, you talked about it. There's stories abound in this Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup field. Let's just start with the lead car in this pack right here. He just took over 9th. Capers Zentmeyer. He lives in Martinsville, Virginia. Says his house is about 2 miles.
Hey, do you have any kind of dental issue while you've got him?
Capers. No. Oh, checking back in on battle for a second. Capers Zentmeyer moving up to 9th. This is Weston Workman trying to hold Gresham Wagner off behind him as lap traffic is going to get in the way right there. Everybody able to negotiate quickly, and that little bit of lap traffic is going to do enough to help Jared Thomas get out in front. But Capers Zentmeyer, back to him, lives here in Martinsville, Virginia, 2 miles from the track, started racing, spec'd me out a little while ago. Chiropractor. 31 years old.
Chiropractor.
Yeah,
That's right.
I didn't know if that was where you're going.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
I didn't know if you just want to make sure my teeth were feeling
well,
okay.
Sometimes you might have issues with your teeth. If you got an issue with your neck,
Yeah, that's true.
we can go down and get a little bit. We've got a little bit of a halftime break, 5 minutes.
Yeah, you hang out up here. I'm going to go down and see Capers and see if he can straighten me out. But Zentmeyer lives here in Martinsville, Virginia. He was born and raised here, lived his whole life. Got into racing really not that long ago, 2 or 3 years. I think he's been doing Spec Miata stuff. Has gotten up and down the East Coast, done a lot of racing. Visited another iconic track that NASCAR frequents once a year, Watkins Glen International. Had some really good runs up there. But as he works his way into the 9th position, he's back there racing with guys like Tom Long, Andy Jankowiak, and we check back in now. Jared Thomas is doing what a lot of these guys told me they either learned about oval racing or the oval specialists knew they'd have to do, and that is keep the car underneath them, keep the tires underneath them, and make sure they are there, to quote Jared Thomas, your leader, for about the last 20 to 25 laps. That's when the guy who's leading this race right now thinks you're really going to have to be on the offense and be aggressive. So these first 50 laps, we might not see a barn burner. We might not see guys trading paint going all over each other because they know they need to save these 4 Michelin tires, which they cannot change during the stage break for the last 50.
I always equate it, it's kind of like an Oreo cookie. You know what? If you eat the white frosting first, the good part's gone, and you just have a junky, cookie left. But if you take care of your tires, but again, the Michelin tires they brought here have been fantastic. I mean, there's 2 wide, 3 wide, all over this racetrack. And then up front, Workman just knocking on the door, trying to get him to move. And we might see a little bumper help.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you doing?
Big thing that you got out of that is I love Oreo cookies, so I'm glad to hear you bring them up every chance we can. This is a very cat and mouse game, I think, right now you're seeing is Jared Thomas needing to be careful to not let Weston Workman, kind of push him farther than he wants to go. It's not really so much an issue of brake fade as Workman now will dive down to the inside and 3, almost bounces the curb into Thomas, but he stays alive.
Now look at how that car got, up. You can see the left front corner came up a little bit because he hit the curb. There's curbing in the corners of this racetrack, and several drivers told me now it's not going to spin you out per se, but it's really going to upset the car for a couple seconds, and that's going to equate to the stopwatch. And look at the gap.
Yeah, exactly. You can see it right here. The gap has absolutely developed, and now it's kind of offset Workman so much that a door has been opened, and Gresham Wagner, this season's champion, is trying to step on through to the other side, and that's exactly what he'll do. And so many times at this speedway, we have seen guys get hung out to dry in freight train. Now Celine Roland is going to try and challenge for the 3rd position. This could be a 3-position swing here for Weston Workman, and it is. Moves Celine Roland from 4th up to 3rd, Wagner from 3rd to 2nd. Jared Thomas is loving seeing all this, though, behind him.
Exactly, because he is running his pace. And we talked a few moments before I came up to the booth, and he's like, you know what, the biggest thing here is pace. I'm a momentum guy.
Ooh, wow. Workman dived back down in there, and that allowed the 22 of Jeremy Fletcher, the young man from St. Cloud, Florida. His eyes got a little big. He dove down there on the exit of the back straightaway.
And did you see he caught a little bit of that curbing?
It upset the car just enough, and it kind of shook everything up right there. Oh, trouble for Roland. Fire erupting from underneath the 87, and I was the MX-5 Cup announcer, Matt, from 17 to 2021. I have never seen a mechanical failure like that on an MX-5 Cup car, and for the first time today, we will go yellow in our first half of this 100-lapper. We weren't doing a very good job. We were working lap 39 at the time of Celine Roland's incident, and obviously, for good reason, the yellow flag comes out. They want to make sure no fluid or anything else, debris from underneath that car, got put down the back straightaway. Oh, what a heartbreaker.
You can see the smoke starting to come up, and that's the thing. He put so much into coming back. The heartbreak of this was basically one and done for him because of his day job. And because, like some series, the majority of the drivers aren't looking to go to the next latest, greatest, and they're only going to be here for a short time. We've got so many guys that are here year after year. Let's take a look and see at the replay exactly what happened. Did the curbing hit it? And let's see.
You can see a little bit of smoke come out, and I mean, I don't work for Fliss Performance. I wish I did, but I'm not going to get into speculating what possibly could have gone wrong there, nor am I a crew member on one of these MX-5 Cup cars. The best news is that Celine Roland gets up and walks away.
Well, you don't know if maybe he might have hit the curbing, and maybe he might have holed something underneath.
Right.
You just don't know.
It's unfortunate. You talk about great stories. Celine Roland is one of them. Not only does he have a cool day job now as a pilot for Piedmont Airlines, which is a regional connector for American Airlines, but when he began racing with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup back in 2018, he had another pretty cool job. He was a car salesman for a Mazda dealership down in Orlando, Florida. We used to joke during the 2018-2019 season, there goes Celine Roland, race, maybe win on Sunday, go back to selling them on Monday. He's a great guy. His dad, Celine Sr.
He is such a cool guy.
Yeah. Celine Sr. came over to the States from Cuba back in 1980, and I said, so when did you start racing? He goes, the next year. He was autocrossing in Central Florida, and he said he was the one that got Celine, his son, Celine Jr., hooked to it. So really, really stinks for Celine Roland.
Hey, can you go over the wall? I think, yeah, I can.
So as cars circulate around this, it's technically just over a half of a mile at the Martinsville Speedway. Laps will not count under yellow flag conditions for the first 50 laps of this race. We were working lap 39 at the time of the caution for Celine Roland's mechanical failure in that number 87. Jared Thomas, still your leader. Gresham Wagner moving his way up to second. Just a few laps before the yellow flag came out. And then you've got, Celine Roland was scored in third position. You'll move Weston Workman up to third. Jeremy Fletcher will take over fourth, and Landon Lewis will take over the top five. And very shortly here, Matt, I'm not sure if they've been given the command yet or not, another new facet for Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup racing, something our road course regulars are still maybe trying to figure out how it's going to work here, but oval racers know all about this. There you see it, one to go at the starter stand. So
look for it. They're
going to make the choose here. The choose cone has been in effect with NASCAR for at least the last couple of years, and that orange triangle on the start-finish line front straightaway, drivers have to split that and determine which lane they are going to restart in. Not something we see typically at IMSA weekends.
And they've got to look for the orange arrow, their spotter, telling them, okay, you've got three cars have chosen the right side, the left side, to try to work in where the best strategy-wise their positioning should be. And
there's a little bit of a disagreement, it seems.
There's a lot of three wide in Mazda MX-5 Cup competition, even under caution.
So the thing about that choose cone for our road course fans, the folks from IMSA who may not understand that, it's truly, genuinely just another way to entice the racers to make decisions that will improve the on-track product. It allows guys to kind of take their fate into their own hands a little bit and not just say, we're all going to restart single file, or, you're going to just first on the inside, second outside, third inside, fourth. No, if you feel like you have a car that's, say, better on the outside of the racetrack, and you're fourth, and the top three all dive down to the inside, the choose does allow you to jump to the outside of row one. You cannot pass the leader, but you get to determine and have a little bit more of your fate in your hands. It's done wonders in NASCAR Cup racing. We have it in sprint car racing. I think it's a super fun addition to MX-5 Cup. So they've made the choose. The lights are out on the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup safety car. It dives down into the pit lane. Remember, no laps have counted here under the yellow flag, so we will restart with 11 or no, check that, 13 laps to go, it looks like, before we see the yellow flags wave and end stage number one. Remember, $3,500 on the line to the driver who is leading at the time of the stage break when those yellows wave on lap number 50. They're all bunched back up, most we've seen them, and a small accordion effect begins to take place, getting down on the brakes into turn number one. Thankfully, everyone keeps it pointed in the right direction. Jared Thomas gets shot out of a cannon on the exit to turn number two. He'll lead him through 3 and 4, but behind him, is it a race lap or a pace lap? They're still side by side.
Now, if you're sitting here in the stands, and you might even be able to pick it up with our great audio, especially on that speed shot down the front straightaway. But these guys are shifting twice a lap. So as you'll watch Jared Thomas in the middle of 3 and 4. Now, as he's exiting, he's going to go into the restart box right about now. He's shifting. And for about 4.5 seconds, he'll be in third. Now he's shifting down into second. And they have so much speed. They're doing so much momentum through the corner.
Look at that. A little bit of bumping and grinding on a Saturday night here in Martinsville, Virginia. It's Jeremy Fletcher in the black, white, and blue. Number 22. He's trying to sort things out with the Whelen sponsored car. That's the number 56 of Nathan Nicholson. Caper Zentmeyer's right behind him. And that is Tom Long, who is making his MX-5 Cup debut tonight, but I will argue has more laps in a Mazda MX-5 Cup car than any driver in this field for a very long time. Tom's family owned and operated Long Road Racing, and they were the technical partner, the technical engineering partner for Mazda Motorsports. They did what Fliss Performance does today. Fliss Performance receives these MX-5 Cup Roadsters on a ship from Japan. They turn them from road cars into race cars, and before Fliss Performance was the technical engineering partner for Mazda, that was Long Road Racing. So Glenn Long, owner of Long Road Racing, he and his wife Alana and their sons Chris and Tom were very involved in the development of these race cars. So it's hard to believe that Tom Long is making his debut behind the wheel in competition for the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup, but he's got just as many, if not more, laps in this car than anybody in the field.
Look at the body of work. Look at his racing resume. 20-plus class wins in IMSA. 40-plus podiums in IMSA. So he has had a wonderful career. And we were talking about earlier, joking around about the fact that he's in his early 40s. He's twice as old as a bunch of the young hot shoes that we're seeing here tonight. He said, but that's what's so fun about it.
I think Jeremy Fletcher is 17. Sally Mott is 19 years old, and they come around to complete to start lap number 45. This is 5 to go now till that stage break, and money is on the line here. Jeremy Fletcher, there's that accordion effect. They're starting to get a little physical, and we're not even to the stage break. Evasive maneuvers as Caper Zentmeyer, Jan Kowiak, everybody has to split. There goes Sally Mott, the young lady from Texas, down to the inside. They're still side by side, and we're not even to lap 50 yet. This is the MX-5 Cup. People who watch the road course racing can be a little bit more accustomed to. Sally Mott has cracked the top 10. She runs in 8th right now, originally from Victoria, Texas. She now lives in Waco, Texas. Cool story. I got to announce her dad, Robbie, in kart racing all around the country, but with a focus of regional racing down in Texas. Robbie, an accomplished driver in his own right. Very cool to see his daughter, Sally Mott, out here wheeling in the Mazda MX-5 Cup Championship. She's trying to fend off the number 31 of Landon Lewis. Lewis is going to get the position, and the 44 of Bobby Gossett not far behind. That's the race for 8th, 9th, and 10th on the track. Very quickly, Matt, we're going to be nearing the end of this first 50-lap stage.
We're closing in on the end of the first stage, but this is where confidence is starting to get really high. Tires have really come in.
Clearly.
You're seeing a little argy-bargy, as my good pal Calvin would always throw in, Calvin Fish on our IMSA broadcast. And the excitement. This is why fans love. I know people that will go to an IMSA weekend. The first thing they do is look to see when the first MX-5 Cup race is, because they want to make sure they get to the track in time.
It's must-see TV.
For the first of the doubleheader. Yep.
You can't miss it. We told John Duna down in the pit area, Saturday. We'll sell you the whole seat. You're only going to need the edge. It's Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin. Leader Jared Thomas unwinds the steering wheel and exits turn number 4 to click off lap number 50. So once the rest of the field makes their way across the start-finish line, you will be seeing the yellow flag wave, and that will signal the end of stage number 1. Thomas and the rest of the field here just waiting on Siddiqui to get across the line. And there you see it. The yellow flag is out, and 50 laps of racing is done.
So the two-time champ, Jared Thomas, everything went according to plan.
Yeah.
He won the pole, check mark. He won the first stage, check mark.
Yep.
So you're already adding some cash into the cookie jar, so to speak, of the night. $3,500.
$3,500 to Jared Thomas, your winner of stage number 1. But that's not all. We've got more.
We got more.
Weston Workman comes across the line in second. He'll pick up a check for $2,000 at the old pay window later on tonight. And third place, Gresham Wagner, the series champion, will see a check for $1,500 just for running third at the stage break. Don't tell me Mazda doesn't care about helping the drivers and teams succeed with real money in their pockets, because it's just not true if you tell me that.
Well, I think if you look at just the overall base of the program, top to bottom, I don't know any other manufacturer who has focused more on creating stars, giving people opportunities with all the scholarship programs and the cost effectiveness of the series. Look, you can go out and for $110,000, you can buy a brand new MX-5 Cup car from Fliss Performance, and then you don't need to go and load up the truck with all kinds of spares, because they have a parts truck here. So cost effectiveness there. You don't have to throw out a bunch of money for parts you might not use. And and then the tire. I talked to one guy. Now think about this. You hear so many times, late model guys, well, $50,000 for the motor, then we had to freshen it up at the end of the year. One guy who's been competitive in this series for several years told me, look, I had 4 years on my engine.
Wow.
And I had 5 years on my transmission. And so that gives you an indication of how stout the product is, but how great it is for your racing wallet, which means you can do more.
It truly is a very affordable platform, technically speaking, and that's something that Mazda Motorsports, Fliss Performance, Anderson Promotions, who promote these events and manage them all season long with IMSA, that's something they really pride themselves on. And it's a Mazda Skyactiv 2.0-liter engine inside these race cars, and it's not some race engine that's, it's decently affordable and it'll do what you need. No. The engine underneath Jared Thomas's number 96 that just made him $3,500 by leading at lap 50, that's the exact same engine that is in the MX-5 parked in your driveway or at the Mazda dealership waiting for you to go buy it. Go buy it. Go buy it. It's really worth it. The engines are not swapped out. It's not some trick race engine. Those 250 parts are around the car in other ways, but it's the same engine that people are driving down the road in their MX-5 to go do whatever it is they want to do. And this series pays cash money. It's all about helping drivers succeed and grow. The 5-minute clock here will begin when all these drivers come to a stop inside their pit stall. No tire changes are allowed. No fuel can be added. Only small chassis adjustments can be made. Damage repairs can be done. And a guy that's helped me do some damage repair joins us in the booth. John Doonan, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. Thrilled that you two can make the call. It's, major veteran and what do you call yourself, an upstart?
Yeah, let's go with that. I say overnight sensation in about 10 years. Don't worry, don't get too excited. I already called the Mazda MX-5 Cup Championship presented by BF Goodrich, not by our great friends at Michelin. So don't get too excited. But what do you make of this? Isn't this cool?
Yeah, it's fantastic. And first of all, thanks to Clay Campbell and the entire staff here at Martinsville Speedway. This is 20 years in the making. Robert Davis is here, my longtime dear friend and also Mazda teammate. And I think we were sitting at his dining room table one night talking about racing Miatas on ovals. And thanks to Clay and the vision of Mike Helton and Jim France, we're here. I think this is a great start, and I think the fans got a little taste of what MX-5 Cup racing is all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got two iconic brands here, all the history of Martinsville. You've got a lot of oval track fans, and then they're seeing such a cool factor with the MX-5 Cup car. And what the IMSA fans usually see at a weekend, not once but twice, because they'll run twice over the course of a weekend, but we were starting to see tires coming in, people getting confident because this is their first time. But think about this. When you go back and that very first contract for this program is sitting on your desk, and you're like, all right, we're going to do it. Did you ever imagine when you dreamt about all the possibilities, did reality match the dream or surpass it?
I think it's far surpassed it just as a series. I have to be careful because, I have a special place in my heart for Mazda and Mazda MX-5 Cup specifically. But what this series has done for driver development, and you look at where we're at in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, names like Robbie Foley, Patrick Gallagher, Chad McCumbee, and Stephen McAleer, team owners here, racers over in IMSA. This has been a development series, not just for drivers, but for teams, mechanics, engineers, broadcasters. I mean, it's a really special part of the development of people in this sport. Dan and Michelle Anderson, the fact that Sonny Whelan and his entire crew came on board for this championship, and the folks at Michelin, you mentioned B.F. Goodrich, Peter Calhoun, Carl Koenigsteiner here, Perry Heider designed that original tire. So many of the elements, to your point, Matt, have come together. And, we were flying up today talking about the fact that open cockpit convertibles raced here in the mid to late 50s, and here we are bringing convertibles back to Martinsville
you're
Speedway.
Thinking of Fireball Roberts, all Joe Weatherly, all the cool.
Yeah, Richard Petty, Ned Jarrett.
Yeah.
We're looking at pictures, and so it's thrilling, and this is a great start, and who knows where this is going to go. $25K to win tonight.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
It's crazy.
Well, if you're Jared Thomas, it could end up being 28.5. So
exactly, and of course, Gresham Wagner, $250K scholarship winner after the Motul Petit Le Mans weekend. So just so many positives. What a great night, and I hope the fans here at Martinsville, see this as a great treat. And then hopefully we can bring it back for years to come.
I think it was cool because you saw so many of the NASCAR Whelen Modified guys. Everybody, before practice one went out, whether they were with us at Mazda, whether they were with NASCAR, everybody kind of held their breath. And it was kind of like, whoa, this is really happening. And then they went out, they ran practice one, everything went off without a hitch. Practice 2 was good, qualifying was exciting, and this is really happening, but I think it's gaining the attention of a lot of people around the motorsports world, because if you take a look at the numbers on YouTube right now, people watching, it's a pretty stout audience.
No, we're thrilled for that, to be able to be entrusted by Mazda with what I like to call their prized possession. You think about the best-selling two-seat sports car in the history of the world, it's the MX-5 Miata, and you see them on the street, and I'm not sure anybody in their mind as you're driving down the freeway with one passing you or you're passing, imagine what it's capable of on a racetrack. It's an incredibly balanced platform, and I think what it shows here tonight is the versatility of the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
We race at the big track at Daytona with the infield. We race at all these iconic road courses throughout the season.
Somewhere as demanding as Sebring.
100%. Absolutely. And then these finishes come down to 8 cars crossing the line at Daytona within, some tenths of a
4
second.
seconds is the combined margin of victory
Exactly.
over 14
So,
races.
to Matt's point, it's coming together for many years, and I'm just thrilled to be here. I wouldn't have missed this one if I had to drive all night to be here.
Well, and the one thing too, John, when you look at all the different crew members working on cars, you see a lot of youth, and I love what IMSA is doing. You announced it at Road Atlanta, the season finale, about how IMSA and their STEM program, it's not going up another level. It's got like rockets on it. Cambridge is coming on board as a partner because there's so many opportunities within the sport. If you want to be an engineer, if you want to work in marketing, there's so many other areas that you can find a home for whatever skill set you have.
Yeah, and you look through the teams here in the paddock, JTR, BS, McCumbee, McAleer, you see the young talent, the mechanics, the engineers, the people that have used this as a launch pad to their career, and super proud of that. I know the rest of this 50 laps is going to be a real treat for the fans. Like I say, thrilled to be here. Congratulations to Jonathan Applegate, everybody at Mazda for making this come together. The FLIS Performance Group builds an outstanding race car. These cars start out as cars on the assembly line in Japan. They get delivered, I think, to the Jacksonville port. They go to FLIS, and they get turned into a proper race car.
Well, and Jonathan, Applegate, who runs this program, he and I were talking about just the opportunity with the scholarships. And a great example is right there, the guy who won the first stage, Jared Thomas. He said, you know what, we don't have a lot of money, so I'm going to become an engineer. He went to the IU Purdue program, and he also started racing.
Yep.
Well, guess what? As he graduates college with his engineering degree, looking at possibly going to work for a race team, he wins the Mazda scholarship.
Yes, then wins this championship.
Takes his
twice.
80 grand from Rookie of the Year, buys his first truck and trailer. It's like an American success story. A dream, like what I'm living right now, John.
That's the dreams that become reality because of all their scholarship programs. And no other series does it like they do, providing the opportunity for kids to go, you know what, I've got a shot. I've got a chance.
As a brand, Mazda's always been sort of the gatekeeper of the dreams, and whether it was this program all the way through grassroots racing. You see a guy like Tom Long for running P5. I mean, he was Spec Miata champion in 2005, first time we had a pro series. So really special night for everybody on the Mazda side. Whelen, Michelin, everybody has turned, I think, a napkin sketch dream into reality. So.
Boy, how evident is right there that choose cone and what kind of an impact it'll have on the reshuffling of this order, as I believe it was Nathan Nicholson who's going to jump from 6th to probably 4th on the restart here, thanks to the ability to elect that outside starting lane. John, we're getting ready to go back racing. You want to hit him with like a boogity, boogity, boogity or anything? I know you practice at home.
I don't know about that. You guys got the call. I'm thrilled that you guys get to work together. Thrilled that this night is happening for everybody involved, and can't wait to see what the outcome is. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
50 laps down, 50 to go, and this is the one that'll pay the big money at the end. The green flag goes down, the revs come up, and we're racing into turn number 1 for the second half of the 100-lapper. The Virginia is for Racing Lovers 300. Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup cars streak through the Saturday night air here in Martinsville, Virginia, and just like where we left off at the end of stage number 1, Matt, Jared Thomas shows the way as they come around to complete the opening lap of the second stage, but it's Gresham Wagner now taking over the second position from Rookie of the Year, Weston Workman.
But Jared Thomas, just like he did every start in stage 1, perfect start to kick off stage 2.
Cars make their way down the back straightaway. We're gonna do our best broadcast poetry here as we've got definitely one of the most well-dressed individuals in the pit area. Jonathan Applegate, never a pair of Nike Dunks that weren't just cleaned freshly by you to come out to the racetrack. He took over for John Doonan when he departed for IMSA, and those are big shoes to fill, but I think you've done an absolutely phenomenal job steering the Mazda Motorsports ship in this category particularly, because so many eyes are on it as Jeremy Fletcher puts a move around Nathan Nicholson. That's going to be for the 4th position on track right now. But Jonathan, you and Doonan, your friends, a little bit of bumping and grinding continues there. This is the problem with MX-5 Cup racing. You get celebrities in the booth, you want to talk to them, but the drivers never give you a moment.
And then he got freight trained. But, as Tony was talking, your passion, John Doonan's passion for auto racing, it's like your brothers from different mothers, because you both are so excited from the time you walk through the tunnel at a racetrack or through the gate.
As we get ready to move down the laps here as they start to click off closer and closer to lap 100 we get. That's a good look at 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Want to talk for a moment, if we can, about the young lady running in the 9th position as Nathan Nicholson tries to make something happen right there with the number 31 of Landon Lewis. Andy Jankowiak right behind, one of the oval specialists in our field. ARCA regular in 2nd. But if we can, this is so tough. I want to really quickly hit on Sally Mott driving that black, orange, and purple car. Sally running the full season, did a little bit of MX-5 Cup racing at the end of 2023. She is teaming up with Nathaniel Sparks, Sparky as he's known in the MX-5 Cup pit area, a staple, I think, of MX-5 Cup racing. Great look at a great-looking race car right there. Sally Mott, they had Roundtree Towers. They're a cell tower company down around Waco, Texas, step up to be the sponsor for Sally here at this 100-lapper exhibition race with a ton of eyes on that race car. But if you look closely, that race car is not covered in Roundtree Towers logos. That is actually the Team Dakota logo, and Dakota Whitlatch was a young man who unfortunately lost his battle with congenital heart disease, and his mom, Denise, and Dakota would watch sprint car racing of all things religiously. That's how I know.
I mean, he loved NASCAR and dirt track racing.
True. He did love all forms of racing, but I got to know the Whitlatches through his sprint car fandom, and the Roundtree Towers people said, this is a great cause. We need to bring more knowledge to that disease and the condition that Dakota suffers from, and educate people, trying to find ways to fight that. So the folks over at Roundtree Towers very graciously said, we're going to continue to support Sally. The check is still going to cash. As look at Jagger Jones, Andy Jankowiak is going to go around, and Sally Mott just avoids Jankowiak's spinning and sliding Hendricks Motorsports #2 entry. And the quick end of that story is that Roundtree Towers decides to stay on the race car but give up their sticker space on Sally Mott's race car to the Team Dakota logos and bring awareness to congenital heart disease. And Andy Jankowiak backs away. But Sally's a great young lady, raced with Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup all year, Jonathan, and it's a pretty special cause they're bringing attention to. Quick look at the replay there as Andy Jankowiak is kind of the odd man out there, unfortunately, and he got it backed away from the fence because these MX-5 Cup cars, they very handy, have a reverse gear in them. But not the weekend he's probably going to have planned for himself here in the MX-5 Cup car as our first yellow due to contact comes out here in the race.
And you know what, Jonathan, when you look at so many of the young drivers in our field throughout the course of the season, they put in so much work with the driver coach. There's so much homework. You know, you think, oh, I'm out of high school, I'm out of college, homework's done. No, if you're in racing, you do homework throughout the week, whether you're looking at the data, looking at different things, videos to see how you can pick up a 10th, you know,
So I just got to know how stressful is getting this event together.
Folks, you know, back in Irvine that support this from the marketing side, so it's a tremendous overall opportunity to see.
All right, well, Jonathan, it's great to have you up here, and Matt, one more lap of yellow here, so getting ready to go back.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Well, I'll tell you what, the fun meter has been pegged. We're going to see what it's going to notch up to now as we're getting ready for another restart.
Let's see it.
Can Jared Thomas pull it off again?
Thank you, guys.
That's Jonathan Applegate with Mazda Motorsports, and it's always great to have him around, even though his hair is one hair.
Hair maybe. 47 was out of place.
Yeah, hair 47, unfortunately. Getting ready to go here, and John Doonan and Jonathan Applegate, two assets to motorsports in general, just period, and just really, really great guys to have around. So the choose has taken place. Normally, where I come from in sprint car racing, we have an actual physical cone down on the front straightaway. So I'm always tempted to say the choose cone has taken place, but the choose has taken place. That Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup safety car now ducks back into pit lane. Remember, laps do count under yellow flag conditions here in stage number 2. The pressure continues to mount with each restart. Jared Thomas at North Vernon, Indiana, the 27-year-old owns and operates his whole program. He told me in the hotel this morning, really gotten into smoking meats, smoking briskets. He said, Tony, next brisket I smoke, I'm going to set the time by the grandfather clock. I plan to win here today.
Don't mark a spot on the wall for it yet, because that's what it is, the wall clock.
Yeah.
Because look at the restart. Jared Thomas before, he would start to yard the competition by the time he was in the center 1 and 2. Now he finally pulls in front of Workman, but Workman working all over him.
Yeah.
He got a great restart. And as you can see, running into that outside lane as the 31 goes up just Lewis, up just in the
moves up
second groove,
yeah,
so to speak.
tried to start a second and a half groove almost, it seems like, through 1 and 2 there. But absolutely, to your point, Matt, I think Gresham Wagner, he's got the same game plan he's had every one of these starts and restarts after starting on the pole position and leading to this point. But it's the rest of the field that are learning his game and getting better themselves at timing these restarts, getting into the restart zone, and doing their best. Here's a good fight right here. That's the 22 of Jeremy Fletcher down on the inside of Macomb Macaleer Racing driver Gresham Wagner, this season's champion. They are fighting for third position on track, and then right behind them, the 56 of Nathan Nicholson. Who's going to prevail here on the battle? It's that inside line, getting the shorter path around the inside of 1 and 2. Jeremy Fletcher brings the Whelen sponsor, number 56 of Nicholson with him. Move those two drivers into third and fourth position on the racetrack. Behind them, though, it's not settling down, not yet. The 8 and the 5. Macomb Macaleer Racing teammates, Tom Long, talked about his extensive experience when it comes to testing and developing and getting this MX-5 Cup platform to what it is. He was door-to-door there for a moment with one of the MMR cars. That's Gresham Wagner. Now they're bumper to bumper as Gresham Wagner overcooks the brakes.
Sneaking by on the inside.
Yep. Well, that was aided by the fact that Wagner did get into the back of Tom Long, and now it's a bit of a hornet's nest on back. This is basically 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th you're looking at right now. And I tell you, these guys know they have spotters on the roof, Matt. They're counting them down. They know we're getting closer and closer to a $25,000 payday.
In what respect for the 5? The newly crowned champion.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving it right out of the way.
Yeah, that's Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup racing. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and it doesn't matter what you did last lap. It matters what you're doing this lap. Right now, fight for the front, starting to pick up once again. Jared Thomas has the all-purple number 13 of Weston Workman hot on his trail. They exit turn number 4, across the start-finish line to click off lap number 73. We work lap number 74. Oh, man, and this is already flying by way too fast. Can I sign up for another 100 laps here?
Let's do it. Let's add it. Bonus.
Yeah, exactly. Bonus laps, bonus money. Weston Workman getting closer and closer on corner entry, using up those Brembo brakes to try to get closer and closer to the race leader, Jared Thomas. This is good stuff.
Watch the entry here. You can see he does a better, smoother entry. The balance of the car as far as Workman has versus Jared Thomas. He gains. Pulls up down the backstretch. Let's see what the gap is now.
Well, what happened right there was Jared Thomas cheated his entry just a little bit to 3, and that hurt his mid-corner and exit speed, and that's what Weston Workman is going to try to do. He's going to try to force Jared Thomas's hand, and Thomas, Matt, is already starting to get defensive here with just under 25 to go. Thomas is starting to drive in his rearview mirror.
There he goes, Workman on the inside.
Workman tries to show the nose. Jared Thomas beats him down to that early apex in turn number 3, but something tells me that is not the last time you're going to see the nose of that BSI number 13 for Weston Workman get down to the inside. Jared Thomas really needs to get his program underneath him. He's starting to drive a little defensively rather, and that, I think, is what opened the door for Weston Workman right there.
Now, Workman is using his tools. Basically, he knows where his car is best. He made a move there. He's going to file that back, and he'll start and kind of size up Thomas again, and you can see more and more how he's changing his corner entry, diving down to the bottom, Workman is, and getting a good run off, and then he gains on Thomas going into turn 3.
This is great stuff up at the front of the field right now. It's tough to look away as Weston Workman right in the Michelin tire tracks. He'll try to pull out and make a move down to the inside. Here it is, the race for the lead with just over 20 to go. Weston Workman shows the tail lights, and Jared Thomas will smell exhaust for the first time today. Thomas is going to try to battle him back right down on the entry to 3. He will not have an opening. Weston Workman comes across to lead lap number 80.
The two-time champ versus the Rookie of the Year going at it here. And now we're going to see, and you can just see those Brembos, how red hot they are. But those brakes love heat.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to put so much heat into them so that they can work their magic. And now we're going to see just how good Workman's car is. Does he start to pull away? Does he gap a little bit on that 96, the orange and white striped Mazda? Going back a little bit further, this group right here, it's been like a hornet's nest.
That's Jagger Jones in the Lightning McQueen number 86. Jagger Jones, the grandson of Indy 500 and two-time Baja 1000 winner Parnelli Jones. Jagger, the son of P.J. Jones, who, Matt, I'm sure in your NASCAR tenure covered some one-offs for P.J. in either the NASCAR Cup or Busch Series.
This is my image of P.J. Jones, and I've told him this several times. I owe him one. He had just won the Rolex 24 at Daytona. I believe 1992 maybe, 91, 92. And he's in a big Lincoln Town car, and he's going to the airport. And there wasn't really a hole in our I-4 traffic.
Right.
He made one.
Of course.
And
got you there.
And then he turned around and looked as he's going, and turned around and looked back at me. I'm like, all right, I will file that away.
Farhan.
Oh!
Contact a little bit farther back. Jankowiak in trouble once again. And that will bring out another yellow flag, our second here of stage number 2, just with about 15 to go. And I meant to hit on it earlier. Man, Jankowiak has just been bounced around this place here tonight. He and Kimi Hendricks' team partnered up not too long ago. They were at New Smyrna earlier this week testing. Andy and the Hendricks Motorsports team. Yes, you heard that right. Hendricks. There is an S at the end of that name. Hendrick Motorsports, quite successful here at the
Mr.
Martinsville
H,
Speedway. Yes.
Not going Mazda Cup racing, but another Mr. H is.
Yeah, so we've got a replay coming up here to take a look at what happened. Oh, wow, Jankowiak was just kind of in trouble on his own as Jagger Jones, and who would that have been? Probably 9th, 10th, 11th, Sally Mott, Noah Harmon.
Oh!
Man, wonder what happened there to cause troubles for Jankowiak.
Once again,
And that will bring out another... Oh, boy, hearing yourself in your freaks out a little bit.
And here's the deal. Look at that Mazda. He's hit the inside wall down in 3 and 4. He got pushed down there and then had a little incident off turn 2. Yeah, you could maybe throw some, 200-mile tape on that, but you really don't. That thing just...
Yeah, it's going to keep going.
Keeps going.
Yeah, it's a very versatile, very deliberately well-built car to withstand a whole lot of different situations throughout the season. Andres Valadez at, I'm probably butchering that last name, but Andres at Fliss Performance has just done a great job getting me caught up. They got a big team of people at Fliss Performance. Todd and Troy Fliss, managing partners and owner. Andres, program manager, does inventory, transport driver. Ashley Richardson, his fiance, is the administrative and data manager. Mackenzie Fliss handles social. Kyle Morningstar, Austin Rudens, David Acevedo, Stan Fliss, Trevor Smith, and Luke Cruteau are all the folks that build these race cars season after season at Fliss Performance to get these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars out on track. And it was something that Jared Thomas told me yesterday. You really want to be ready inside of 25 laps to go, and ready wasn't the term. He said you want to have the car still underneath you. You want to have tires underneath you with 25 laps to go, because in his days of late model racing around Indiana, that's what it always felt like. He said the guys that won those races had the car still working the way they wanted to inside of 25 laps to go. And Matt, we're there and then some. They're going to come around to see 13 to go this time by.
So Jared Thomas told me the biggest learning curve he had as a driver, like so many, you really underestimate the mental aspect and the importance of it as the athlete behind the wheel, because you're dealing with so much, whether it's the heat, whether it's just the physicality of driving, but also trying to outthink your competitor. there's so much mental
absolutely
work that goes into it. And he said he felt like from when he started to now, so many drivers have such a big learning curve, and he's gone through it as well. And that's when being a veteran, that's when being in situations, you know what the outcome is. So you can kind of plan ahead and go, oh, you know what? I've seen this trend before. And that's what really makes a champion a multi-time champion. Because once they've experienced that, you know,
they know what
they're
to do.
book of knowledge.
Yeah, they know what to do. They know the game plan. And something else on that note is, I remember at the then Mazda Road to Indy, when the Indy Lights, now Indy Next drivers, took to their first oval, they talked about how just mentally draining racing on an oval was compared to the road course racing they did. They're coming around to see one to go. The choose is now taking place, and look at how many drivers are diving down to the inside as they get ready for the restart.
And you'll see Whelen on a lot of different vehicles over the entire Speedway property. And I love what Sonny Whelen and his family is doing. And they're teaming up with Michael J. Fox's research, Team Fox, and with his Racing for a Cause. You can go to the website, and what's neat is no matter how much you want to be a part, how much you want to donate, you know, you can be a member of this group, Racing for a Cure. You can click on a different icon, and the thing is, this race car is basically being auctioned off as we're getting ready to go back to green again, and you could win this car and then be out in this field.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you go to Racing for a Cure /give, and, you know, 2023, they raised $200,000 for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And I love what Sonny Whelen and his family, they continue to step it up. They look at different ways. Guess what? For that car right there, if you win, $25 get you 18 chances.
Yeah.
But if you win, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be a racer. You can take the cash buyout of the $75,000. So everyone wins because, you know, approximately 90,000 people every year are diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and there's no cure at this juncture. But
you can head to racing.giving, and that car that we showed an aerial shot of just before the restart took place, that is the actual race car that you can enter a raffle to win, and all the money goes towards Team Fox helping find a cure.
100%.
Yep, that's such a cool cause. A little bit of slamming and getting sideways here as now we are getting down to the marrow of it. We are inside of 10 laps to go, but I don't need to tell you that because you can see it. They're going 3 wide at Martinsville under green flag conditions. That's the local. Capers Zetmeyer in the green and black, number 99 for Nathaniel Sparks. He's trying to take the fight to the number 31 of Landon Lewis as they race just outside the top 3.
And then you got the 77, Harmon. Now, you know, a kid that lives in Central Florida, and this whole deal came together because he was at a spec Mazda race, and a guy walked up and just started talking to some great argy-bargy there, and they became friends. Well, it turns out he wanted to go racing as well.
Wow, look at this. Freight train racing right there. Wow, Jeremy Fletcher was all but sideways right there, Matt, as there's still 3 wide down the front straightaway.
This is Mazda MX-5 Cup racing.
Exactly. This is what people have come so accustomed to seeing. And meanwhile, back up in front, it's Jared Thomas. He has retaken the lead from Weston Workman. But Workman knows we are coming to 5 laps to go. And if he's going to make a move, he's got to start finding out a way. And 5 laps to go in oval racing can sometimes be a very long time, Matt. But at this pace, on this sort of track, it's really not.
And we do have the opportunity of one green-white checker attempt.
Oh, we almost needed it right there, as that was the 0-1 of Ruben Caceres, I believe.
And then Noah Harmon was the one who got into him there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If a yellow flag comes out and we're going to go over the scheduled race distance, they will make one attempt at a green-white checker up front at the lead. These guys aren't worried about
diving it on the inside.
They're not worried about the green, the white, or the checker. Here goes Weston Workman diving down to the inside through 3. They're side by side through 4. Out of the final corner, 3 laps to go. Workman and Jared Thomas are trying to make it look like the pace laps here with 3 to go.
Can he keep it on the outside? Does he have enough grip up high?
Man, Jared Thomas doesn't care if there is. He's going to make grip on the outside. Jared Thomas just turned his helmet to the left, looked there and said, man, Weston Workman, you're making me work for this one. They come out of 4, 2 laps to go, and they've gone around the Martinsville Speedway side by side, Matt. Oh no, the 56 of Nicholson is around, and that will put the Whelen track lights to yellow. And just like you said, a green-white checker will now be needed.
This is going to be exciting. I mean, the fans are on their feet, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're side by side. Now, we've also got the choose. So, you know, Workman's going to take the inside, and then you're going to have Jared Thomas more than likely up top side by side like they were before. And there you can see
Jeremy Fletcher and the 56 of Nicholson trying to get into 3 a little bit, maybe with some assistance there. I guess they both wanted to get through there as quickly as they could, and unfortunately Nicholson is on the losing end there as he goes for the slide and the stop at the top of the race.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you look at the car, the only thing damaged, he knocked in the right side mirror.
Yeah.
You can pop it back out. You're good to go. We're back lining them up here. Now let's see as we get ready for the choose coming up.
And the big important thing here, as you said already, Matt, there is a green-white checker, but there will only be one green-white checker. Okay, so now that we are into the green-white checker, the rule was always going to be, if there was no caution and we got to lap 99 and the white flag came out, the next flag would end it. Here comes the choose. Workman and Thomas both stay down to the inside, but that's going to be Landon Lewis selecting the outside, so he'll jump up to second from where he was third. Now here's the deal. We're in our one green-white checker. They will go green. Oh, so we apologize. It sounded like that was the choose. It is not. So choose is coming up this time by. The point remains, now that we're into our one attempt at a green-white checker, once they go green, my understanding of this rule, and Matt, you make sure this is the same for you.
One attempt.
One attempt. So once they go green, the next flag will end this race. And they will revert to the most recent lap scored should they need to if we don't get all the way around to the white flag.
It looked like the lights were off in the pace car, but then they maybe popped back on, or just maybe the glare was off the big lights. But we've got one car moving to the back. Let's see again here. Nope.
So I still believe we're waiting for that pass round to take place. So
there
I do not believe the wave. The choose is taking place. That now should happen this time. Well, I mean, hey, build a little bit of anticipation. Why don't you? Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. Take a little bit longer here, get everything sorted out. Weston Workman and Jared Thomas just went around this half-mile speedway, which isn't truly flat, but it's kind of flat, and they went around side by side for nearly 2
Very
laps.
deceiving until you're down on the pavement and the concrete, and you see that there is some great
12
banking.
degrees, I think.
So here's the thing to keep in mind. All right, let's see how they line up with the choose. Who's going to be on the inside and outside of row 2? So many times here I've seen a green-white checker, and guess what? They go flying off in the turns 1 and 2, and the guy who is on the inside of row 2, a little bit of bumper movement.
So it's Capers, Zentmeyer.
Will we see it?
Yeah, I think you're right. Whoever's in that second row is going to have a lot to say about how this race ends. Capers, Zentmeyer looks like he was either 5th or 6th at the choose, and he chose to go to the outside because Workman, Jared Thomas, and Landon Lewis, and Tom Long all elected that inside line. So the local, the chiropractor, he is now going to start this race at his literal home track in the second position.
Think about this. He just started racing recently, and he's at Martinsville. He's on the front row getting ready for a green-white checkered finish.
This is getting all kinds of tense and stressful. I might need a chiropractor when this one's all said and done. The one attempt at the green-white checker for $25,000 comes to the green. Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup race cars fly into turn number 1 for what just might be.
There he goes.
The final time, Jared Thomas uses Weston Workman up just a little bit.
Thomas comes out the leader.
He takes over the lead down the back straightaway, but we are clean down the back straightaway, Matt, so the white flag will be displayed. This time by, it's not over. White flag in the air.
Can Workman get up enough to make one more run at Jared Thomas? He's stuck in the outside. It's like he just doesn't have the grip like that they were experiencing there. Jared Thomas.
Landon Lewis and Weston Workman made a battle of it right there for second, but he's been perfect all day. He's been perfect all night. $25,000, and the inaugural Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup trip to Martinsville goes to Jared Thomas. He said he'd use that grandfather clock from victory lane to time the next brisket he smokes.
And a little bumper congratulatory. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was going
to
say, your friends are different than mine. Man, what a race.
Think about it. Pole.
Yeah.
Won the first stage.
Yep, $3,500 in his pocket, and now $25,000 from Mazda Motorsports.
The Ridgeway clock. And, you know, talking to Clay Campbell, he said, you know what, each series that runs here, because for years it was just the Cup Series that would get a grandfather clock. Fred Lorenzen won the first in 1964. And that clock is actually in the NASCAR Hall of Fame on display at this very moment. So, for the Mazda MX-5 Cup winner, he is going to get a Ridgeway wall clock because, again, smaller cars, smaller clock, but it still means the same. It's a Martinsville clock. And that's what everybody says when they win here. The clock. That's the trophy that everybody wants to be able to see from wherever you sit in your house.
I love it. Smaller cars, smaller clock. So Jared Thomas is going to park on the front straightaway, and he'll be joined there by Landon Lewis in third place and Weston Workman in second. Matt, we can't just hang out up here and enjoy this. You and I are going to run down and talk to these drivers, and it sounds like our man Joey here with Martinsville Speedway PA is going to take over for the next few minutes while we run downstairs. So, folks, if you're watching live, don't go anywhere. Live coverage of Victory Lane is going to come up next. But Martinsville Speedway, he's about to climb out of it. He just made $25,000. He just made some history. He's the first winner with MX-5 Cup on an oval as he gets ready to pop out of that race car. Martinsville, Virginia, would you let him hear it? That's your winner, Jared Thomas. Let's go talk to him.
I love the excitement.
All righty, race fans, there he is. Your winner tonight is Jared Thomas, the inaugural Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Series race here at Martinsville Speedway. And did so in dominant fashion. Some great racing here tonight. Jared Thomas comes home the winner. Second place, number 13, Weston Workman. And third was number 31, Landon Lewis. Martinsville's own Capers Zentmeyer, number 99. How about a top 5 finish as he brings it home in 5th place tonight here at Martinsville Speedway. And just a fun series to watch. Good to have these drivers and these teams here at Martinsville Speedway. We'll give the guys a few minutes to get down to Victory Lane. They will talk with all three. And then we'll have a big trophy presentation with a beautiful grandfather clock here at Martinsville. $25,000 tonight to Jared Thomas. You know, over the regular season, the champion won a $250,000 career advancement scholarship. Second place, $85,000. Third place was $50,000. Fourth place on the season, $20,500. Then for a 5th place finish, $15,000 in the form of career advancement scholarships. So well done by the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Series. And again, Jared Thomas, your winner tonight. You got your top 3 down there in Victory Lane at the start-finish line. We'll toss it down to Victory Lane here shortly. And hear the comments and the thoughts of your winner tonight, Jared Thomas. And then from the other top 2 finishers tonight here at Martinsville Speedway. So glad to have you here, fans. Still to come, the Virginia's for Racing Lovers 200 here at Martinsville Speedway for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. It is their championship race tonight here at Martinsville. And we'll take the green flag right around 8 o'clock or shortly thereafter. Got drive introductions coming up as well. And a whole lot more to take place tonight here at Martinsville Speedway as the officials and the dignitaries make their way down to Victory Lane tonight to get ready for the presentation of the trophy. $25,000 to the winner tonight, Jared Thomas, the inaugural winner in the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup Series here at Martinsville. And what a race we saw here tonight for the inaugural event for the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. And just a fantastic run, a lot of celebrating to go on down in Victory Lane tonight here at Martinsville Speedway. As everybody gathers in Victory Lane to get it done tonight. Celebrations just beginning down on the start-finish line. Still to come, the NASCAR Whelen Modifieds. We're going to shake the ground a little bit for 200 laps around Martinsville Speedway, NASCAR's oldest division. Set to run in their championship race tonight. Justin Bonsignor, Ron Silk, 10 points separate them.
Check, 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 check.
When you look at iconic places when you're growing up, you watch so many races on TV. You walk through the tunnel and you told me, what a special place. And you dreamt about winning here. Reality matched that dream of all those races you watched?
It hasn't set in yet. This is such a special place, and what about these fans tonight? This is awesome. You know, to be able to come here and show, you know, another crowd what these cars can do, and you know, at a place like Martinsville, what a great thing.
So many great examples of what we see in a normal Mazda MX-5 Cup weekend. Talk about racing with Workman and the move that he put on you, but also you put on him after the restart.
Yeah, we you know, we were racing good there and just kind of biding our time. I think we both knew that it was going to come down to the end, and we were saving our stuff. So it came down to the end, and we had like short track races. We have a green white checker, and you know, we were just all stacked up there, and everybody's going for it right at the end. I had people breathing down my neck to get where I was. So, you know, good hard racing. And, you know, I just can't thank everybody enough at Virginia for Lovers, Mazda, Whelen for putting this on. You know, I hope this is the thing for the future.
The first one, what'd you guys think? Did you like it? You love it? We've made thousands of new fans. One last question. You're going to get a Ridgeway clock to put on the wall. Do you already have a place for it?
I got a new house, and it's pretty empty, so I'm going to test it out in a few different places.
There you go. Put it in a room where you can see it from a lot of different angles. There he is, your winner, Jared Thomas, here at Martinsville, the first Mazda MX-5 Cup race.
Matt, we're down here now with second place, Weston Workman, or at least there we go. We're going to go to his car. Weston, man, great weekend for you coming into this with such pretty much next to no oval experience. I came over to you and asked you, was it fun? Muted, you said yes. Tell me about your 100 laps.
You know, I thought we ran really well. We were fast all night. I got to the lead. I felt like I did pretty much everything right tonight. I felt like I wasn't given a chance there in turn one, but that's my first taste of oval racing, so I'll suck it up and go to the next race.
What was the toughest thing to overcome for a kid like yourself who's had road course racing his whole life as his experience? We talked about it before the race. Now the 100 laps are done. What was the toughest challenge when it came to making this car fast on an oval?
You know, with these ovals, you don't really get much of a break. With the road courses, we have long straightaways, we have time to rest, but there's really no time to rest here. You know, I think the biggest thing was just turning left the whole time and trying to keep my neck up.
Hey, Weston Workman, ladies and gentlemen, second place here tonight. Weston Workman comes home in second.
Well, Tony, you talk about what a race, and Landon Lewis, what were you thinking seeing all the action in front of you play out?
I mean, it was pretty intimidating at first. I mean, I didn't know we were going to race this hard. I knew this series was tough, and all these guys are super competitive. So started off the race, and I kind of had that short track mentality, like, all right, let's just ride around, save the right front, keep the tires on it. And then all of a sudden we're beating and banging, and I come on the radio, and I told my spotter, I'm like, well, I guess I got to man up. Like, this is no joke. And so we just started manning up, and I apologize for the people I hit or ran into. That's not how I normally race. But when you come to this, it's pretty intense, and these guys are no joke.
So coming in, you'd never raced this car before, and now you've got this 100-lapper in. Are we going to be able to see you maybe at some races coming up in 2025?
I would love to. After just experiencing that, I definitely want to come back. I mean, it's intense. More intense than anything I've ever done as far as car store racing, ARCA racing, all that stuff. It's never been that intense. So, but I'd like to thank Chad McCumbee for allowing me to come do this. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. My mom, my dad, LNA South Tire and Auto. This is really cool. It's a family reunion, as I've been telling everyone today. Chad's from the same hometown I am, so really cool.
everybody in his family, it's all about horsepower. His sister Lily, 11 years old, barrel racer, and that's about what he looked like out there tonight, racing hard in this 31.